Hello everyone! Today I have a very quick tutorial video for you, so not as long as the last ones. Today I want to show you how you can have an interface between PHP and, for example, XML and databases and JavaScript code you might want to use on your homepage. So as an example, I have here my homepage which has some galleries, and those galleries use JavaScript. So I have the images here, and down here I have a section which is called prints available, and this is dynamically also filled by JavaScript. So I have some links which change depending on which image I show. Here also the contact page will get some data automatically added in, for example this part, the subject. So this is all done by JavaScript. But where does this data all come from? Let me quickly show you the code of the homepage. And if we scroll down, we see here all the data for the images is already statically added here. And also down here, the JavaScript, which is basically getting all this data here as a object or JSON, this is also already statically added to the page. But who does that? Certainly I don't do this manually. I have PHP code for that. And I now want to show you how this can be done and why this can be useful also for you. First of all, let's have a look at the data for my galleries. So I have here a gallery XML, which I have for every gallery. So for example, this is my favorites gallery, and it contains all the data for the images with some alt text in both languages, English and German, some print information, external links. So you could also have this in a database, but what's common if you use XML or database, you have, or I have, a PHP file which extracts that data. So when a user goes to a gallery page, the PHP code will first read this XML data, or it could read from a database, gather all the information, prepare it, and then this will be directly injected or echoed into the page. And JavaScript will later pick up that data. Now, why is this helpful? For one thing, you have to do less requests. For example, you could have multiple JavaScript AJAX requests for data, which is typical if you have some data on a homepage in form of some JSON files. You could have JavaScript dynamically requested, have some async calls to fetch data, and once the data is there, do something with it. What I'm doing here, I do all this data loading beforehand. I have PHP extract the data from an XML file, or could be a database, put it directly into the homepage, ready for JavaScript to use. And by this, whoever goes to my homepage, to my galleries, it's just one request which is needed, or to be certain, a few more. So one request for the HTML or PHP file, which already contains everything which needs to be supplied to the JavaScript. And then there are some more requests, for example, for the actual gallery JavaScript, where I need to have a request, and then for the images. But I don't need additional requests for the data, which you saw down here on the page. So having a request for that is overhead, which is not needed. And also I make it easier to code, or more consistent, because I already have PHP which loads an XML file. So I can just have PHP extract this additional data which I need for the prints, and then have it pass that data directly into a JavaScript function using some echo. And I now want to quickly show you how to do it with an example. And this can be helpful for your projects also, I'm sure. So I've created a demo page here within my homepage template. So if you're interested in the homepage template, just watch the previous videos. Also, there's a link to my GitHub where you can download this page or this template. And it uses nunchucks to just set up the page, and then here I directly start with some HTML and some PHP. And now I've set up a few variables here, so those are associative arrays, and this is an example which is kind of taken, or which looks like what I'm also reading from the XML files for my homepage. So in the XML files, at some point I read an array with some information, some print information. For example, I would get an array of different images. I've just coded them here separately for simplicity's sake. So I could have, in this example, 3 images. Here's an array. So it says this image of the name Desert Nights. There are prints available, so I've set a Boolean true. Then this is a red bubble link which is available. It's not limited edition. and its size large. Then the second image example here, the name Fomento Lighthouse, it's also available as print, and this is as limited edition, so it doesn't have a Redbubble link in it. And then there's a third image as an example of the name Drifting Dawn, and there are no prints for it. So those three associative arrays, they are then also put into an array. So putting them together, it's kind of building an object. So it's similar to objects in JavaScript where you have a key and a value. And here you do this by associative arrays. And this array is made up, I take the name of the image and then right-hand side it's the image. And here for the second image, the third image. And this could totally be done automatically. So either by reading from an XML file, just generating those arrays automatically, or extracting data from a database, which is what I do for my homepage. Now, how do you get this associative array into JavaScript? And this is very easy. Some place on your homepage or on my homepage, I just have a script now. And here in this example, I do a console log. So this echo here injects basically this code into the homepage. So script for starting some JavaScript code. Here's the end tag. And in between I have a console log. So that's a JavaScript console log. And then I call the PHP method JSON encode, and I pass this associative array, this images array. And now let's have a look what PHP does with it. So that's the page now. And you don't see anything here because we did a console log in the example. So let's bring up the console and see what was printed to the console. And if we open this, you see here printed an object. So the associative array was transformed into an object and passed to JavaScript as a real object. So basically you can think of it as some JSON object, which you can then transform into an object. And here you see all the information. So first object in this object has the key Desert Nights, and then there's a value, another object with some additional information, limited, name, prints, Redbubble size. Here we just have name and prints and then again limited. So this way you can pass data from PHP to JavaScript. And now in JavaScript, instead of just doing a console log, I can do stuff with this object, which I do on my homepage. So I have then in JavaScript this large data as an object, and when I go through the images in my gallery, I just access whatever data I need for each image. So very simple, and maybe some word of warning about it. So in the beginning I talked about the advantages. You just need one request and there's not many fetches for data, but you should also keep in mind that this data or the processing that's involved to get this data, you have to take this into account. So if you have a homepage with thousands of users, then having too much processing done on your server might be the limiting factor. So in this case, you might rather go the other way where the users fetch data and process it. So it's always weighing pros and cons. For me, it's simpler like this because I don't have that many users on my homepage. So it's better to make sure that the page is loaded as fast as possible with as few requests as possible. And hope you found this useful. If so, leave a thumbs up. Also comment if you have other suggestions, because as I said in the preface for this channel, I'm also learning this. So I might be a software developer, but I'm not a web developer. And also I usually don't write PHP code. So everything is always like, okay, there's a problem which I want to solve, and I find out how to do it, and then I share it with you. Hope you like it. Bye.